Hi, I'm Joe, and in this video, I'm going to go over some of the important lessons this book has taught us. I'm sure most of you have heard of it. If you haven't, you should definitely check it out. It's one of the most popular self-help books that has ever been written. It's written by Dale Carnegie, who did a ton of research and met a ton of people. He had actually done research on loads of successful people in particular and how they managed to lead and succeed in life. Being a people person, the title How to Win Friends and Influence People caught my eye straight away when I was looking for my first ever self-help book. It taught me so much about how to interact with people and how to behave around people. And I think these are the 4 most important lessons to come out from this book. If you've read this book, then tell me whether you agree or disagree in the comment section down below. Let me know if you have, if you think any other lessons are more important than the ones I'm going to talk about. And if you haven't read this book, then these are just some lessons that you could learn from this video. Either way, make sure to smash that like button. So one of the most important things that I learned from this book is to never have an argument. The reason being, you'll never win one. And even if you do win one, it's actually a loss. This is because when you have an argument with another person and you win, you actually lose because you're making the other person unhappy and feel unimportant. And if you flip it on its head and you actually lose the argument, well then you lose the argument. You feel deflated and you feel bad. So the best way to win an argument is to not have one in the first place. Most of the time when you do win an argument, it's for a little satisfaction just after you win the argument, and then after like 10 minutes it doesn't really matter anymore and there is no point in having won an argument. So next time you actually get into an argument with someone, really ask yourself, is there any point in doing this, or am I just doing it just to be right? Because if you are doing that, then the consequences of having the argument is going to be worse than just not having it in the first place. In the book, Dale Carnegie does tell you how useless it is, and he also tells you the tips you can use to end an argument as quick as possible when you are in one. Like, there are certain thought processes that you can go through to distill an argument. And I think the most important step that he does talk about is to doubt your initial instinct. When we do get into an argument, we are generally so concentrated on convincing the other person that we are right, and we're stubborn until they actually believe it. And we could be stubborn for ages being like that. But if you doubt your initial instinct, you could start to think, is my opponent right? Like maybe partially. And then you can understand where they're coming from. So after reading this book, I have cut down on arguments. I used to argue a lot for no reason, and I used to lose a lot, but I have cut down, and it's made me a much better person in disagreement. That's lesson number 1. The best way to win an argument is to not have one. Another important lesson that I learned is to let the other person do the talking. The lesson in general is being a good conversationalist doesn't always mean that you do the talking. Most of the time, a good conversation requires you to listen a lot more than you talk. If you ask someone something that they're passionate about, don't interrupt them, don't do the talking for them. Let them just go on about what they are interested in. The ability to listen is very important. This also applies in your personal and professional life. Being able to listen and take in what they are telling you is as important as giving relevant and appropriate response. One of the lessons in the book is actually called Let the Other Person Do the Great Deal of Talking. The more the other person speaks to you in the conversation means the more comfortable they are to speak to you. So why interrupt them? Just listen and respond when you need to and when you think it's right. People will like you more if you listen better. People like projecting their ideas onto you all the time. If you take in those ideas and you show them that you're listening and you're interested in what they have to say, they will like you a lot more and they will want to speak to you a lot more. When you have a conversation, try and be specific about your answer. If you're asking a question, be specific with that question. Don't ask a vague question like, oh, how was that? Or, oh, is it really like that? Ask specifically, oh, how was that quiche that you had in France? Include details that they have just told you. The book has many great examples of how listening can benefit you and potential friendships. It's all in there, just give it a read. That's the second lesson I learned, how to listen to people. Another important lesson that I learned from this book is to show genuine appreciation to the other person. Now, these are not light-hearted compliments or compliments that everyone gives, on a daily basis. These are compliments or appreciation that is shown or given based on something specific that you genuinely like about the other person. The book is split into 4 sections and it's kind of reiterated throughout. The 4 sections being how to handle people, how to make people like you, how to win people to your way of thinking, and how to be a leader. And showing genuine appreciation for the other person is vital in all 4 areas. When you compliment someone on something that not many other people compliment them on, they know that you're interested in them and you're paying attention to everything they say, which is obviously going to make them like you more and respect you more. There are a couple examples and stories that really made me understand the value of appreciation and how beneficial it can be to not just your professional life, but your personal life also. This genuine appreciation in a workplace can increase productivity and make people like you better as a boss. Charles Schwab said that his greatest asset was his ability to arouse enthusiasm within people, and he did this through genuine appreciation. There's also a point about how much of a different result you can get by using and instead of but. Okay, so imagine I did maths, physics and economics at A level, and I just did a set of mock exams. I got 2 A's in maths and economics, but I got an E in physics. Now imagine if my mum says to me, "Oh, well done Joe, you got an A in maths and you got an A in economics, but your physics was poor and you need to improve for the real test." That's gonna make me feel like the only thing she concentrated on was the failed physics. Saying well done for getting an A in economics and maths didn't sound genuine and therefore didn't appeal to me. It wouldn't make me feel as nice. However, if she used and instead of but, here's the difference. Oh, well done Joe, you got an A in maths and A in economics, and if you improve from now to the real exam on your physics, then you can get an A in physics as well, because you know you're capable of it. That's gonna make me feel like the first two she was genuinely impressed by it, and it's gonna make me motivated and want to do well in physics. This shows you the difference in result you can get from using and instead of but in sentences to appreciate people and their achievements. So that's one of the 4 lessons that I learned from this book, which is to show appreciation, and not just any appreciation, honest and genuine appreciation for people or something they've done. So the most important lesson that I learned throughout the whole book is to think from the other person's perspective. This is a broad lesson that I've learned throughout all the chapters, and this is the one lesson that you should take away from the book if you haven't learned anything. Just think from the other person's perspective. This applies to the past 3 lessons. If you want to show genuine appreciation, you need to think what specifically is going to make them happy if you choose to compliment on it, and what do they value that you could appreciate. You also want to understand what they're talking about when you have to listen to them, and why it's important to them that you listen. And obviously for an argument, the way to end an argument is to understand the other person's point. It's a general theme throughout the book. Thinking from the other person's perspective will allow you to resolve a lot of arguments, a lot of petty arguments and unnecessary arguments, and it will also allow you to better understand the other person, their ideas, their personality, and their vibe in general. If you know the other person's perspective, you can also increase the value that you add to the conversation. Like the actual things that are coming out of your mouth will be more valuable to them and eventually to you. And this way you can actually learn more, because you're not just thinking, from a narrow-minded point of view, and you become a lot more open-minded. And I think that's the main thing that I'm trying to get across that I've learned from this book, is to become more open-minded to how others think and understand that your way of thinking is not the only way of thinking. If you understand this and master this, then you'll be an expert in winning friends and influencing people. I'm not saying that I am after I read this book, but I am certainly better at understanding people and situations. And that is why this book is one of the best self-help books out there. There are many more lessons that you could potentially learn from this book, and lessons that I did learn from this book. But obviously I couldn't put every single one in here because then it would be too long. So if you want to know the rest, then just read the book. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed that video, found some useful information or some kind of value, then make sure to smash that like button. If you've read the book, then make sure you leave a comment on something you found interesting or important lesson that you learned from How to Win Friends and Influence People. Also, if you have some kind of criticism or support, that would be much appreciated as well. And while you're down there, make sure to hit that subscribe button, because without hitting the subscribe button, you can't physically press the bell notification button. And we all want to do that, don't we? Other than that, thank you for watching. I'll see you next week in a bit. Massive spot on them right on my lid. Oh, that is not helping the stereotypes.